Hi everyone, my name is Emmanuel Joseph Akile and I'm the host of the Dawn program on iRadio. Today we have come to the office of the National Security Service Internal Bureau, and we are right inside the office of the Director of Public Relations Department in the office of the Director General Akol Kur. It's our pleasure to be here today in your office, Mr. David John Kumuri, and who is also as the spokesperson of the Internal Security Bureau, National Security Service. Thank you for accepting our request. And now to begin with, let's first talk about the role of the NSS, the National Security Service in South Sudan. Take us through briefly.
First of all, I want to take this privilege to welcome the iRadio, more especially our colleague Akila. We have been hearing you on air, but we haven't seen you actually physically. And this is an opportunity that today you visit the office of Director General of Internal Security Bureau, the General Headquarters of ISB. Of course, the role of the National Security Service, in accordance with the Section 13, subsection 1 of the National Security Act 2014, which includes the following, and it provides the mandate and power and roles or function of the National Security Service that include but not limited to the protections of the Constitution, state sovereignty or interest, and it may be political, economical or social, historical or culturally to its people. And the maintenance of peace, it's one of the responsibilities of the National Security Service, and public order, including also the state security from, of course, you know, we have some threats, whether being internal or external aggression. So this is one of the responsibilities or the role of a National Security Service that is being tasked by the Constitution. Thank you.
Right. So let's talk about the National Security executing its mandate as stipulated in its Act 2014, which was also amended in September 2019. So what does it say? Since you've just mentioned threats, internal or other external, so how are you executing your mandate?
Thank you, Akila. This is a very important question that the people of South Sudan need to know, and the public need to know. The execution of the national security mandate is the duty of the service of the personnels. We have personnels in the institution in accordance with the Section 53 of the law that has not been affected by pending, assent by the President and amended thereto at the precise moment. The national security mandate is to subject to the authority of the Constitution and the rule of the law. So we are subordinate to the rule of law and also to our leaders. We are also subordinates to the civil authority. We are not above the civil authority, but we are subordinate to the civil authority. Also, the respect to the will of the people, the rule of law, democracy, human rights, and fundamental freedom. This is also part of it. Also reflect the diversity of the people of South Sudan in its recruitment. We have a process of the recruitment that we consider normally diversity, all the people of South Sudan. We also preempt and control any situation that may harm and cause in danger to the national interest. This is the most important things that you need to know. Professional and focusing on information gathering. I want you to note that we focus on information gathering, analyze, and also advise to the relevant authority. We advise our leaders, not limited only to the office of the President, but all the leaders of the country. Continuously improve the service through reforms. All of you are aware that the national security is undergoing a lot of reform. After the revitalized peace agreement, we have a reform. We observe the opposition into the system of national security in accordance with what the assets require the national security to do. Thank you very much. Right,
and let's talk about something many people have been discussing it outside there, David Kumuri, the issue of this act, but specifically on arrests. So what does it really say? Because there's this confusion, and many people are saying the national security personnel don't have the right actually to arrest without a warrant. So what does the book really say here, David?
This is a very important question that it's in the mind of the public, and it's the mind of some people who are trying to politicize the situation. We want you to note that very seriously that based on the Section 7 of the National Security Act 2014, the service apprehend under several warrants that include arrest without warrant. I want first to explain arrest without warrant. Based on the Section 54 of the National Security Act 2014, the service arrests any person who is found committing any of the offenses against the state as provided under Section 7 of the National Security Act, or who is reasonably suspected of having committed or having attempted to commit or being about to commit such an offense is liable to be arrested without warrant or any service officer detained. Any person arrested under the provision of the 54 of the National Security Act 2014 shall, whether or not the service inquiries are completed, is brought before a magistrate as soon as reasonable application within 24 hours. As well as also, once the person is arrested, is produced before the judge, the process proceed as provided for arrest with the warrant under Section 55 of the National Security Act 2014. Take an example, for example, if a suicider or a criminal decided to come with a bomb here, will you expect national security officer not to arrest that particular person? No, of course. Our responsibility is to make sure that we prevent and curtail a crime from happening. And that's why sometimes we take action, we arrest based on the Act 2014, the National Security Act, and is to, of course, safeguard and to protect our people.
And on that, Mr. David, there are complaints also that there are some security personnel inside the national security are taking advantage of that act to arrest people randomly. What do you say about that?
Yes, that's why we have a National Security Service to Rabino. If you witnessed yesterday, there are cases. Like yesterday, we have a colonel that ordered the arrest of a civilian without the notice of the Internal Security Bureau leadership. And what happened? He was sued to court with the subordinate. That's why we don't take laws into our hand. The law is here to be implemented. And once our officers, our NCOs misbehave about the law, arrest without authorizations of the leadership, then the person or the member of that institution or that the ISB will be arrested and detained and investigated and sued to court. So we have no compromise on that. The law actually applies both.
Right.
Yeah. I first want to explain to you the arrest with warrant. First, I explained to you arrest without warrant. You also need to know that there are procedures for arrest with warrant. Based on the provision of 55 of the National Security Act 2014, where the Director General or the employee designated by him or her as a reasonable ground to achieve that warrant require to enable the service actually perform, or under the National Security Act, the Director General can actually order the arrest of anybody who is a criminal. So it is the mandate that is being given by our National Security Act. And in that, there are some procedures or applications that I specify for us to arrest with warrant. First, the purpose for which the warrant is sought, whether the urgency of the matter is such that it will be impracticable to carry out the investigation using any other investigation procedures or without warrant, if likely that the information is important with respect to the investigation, will not be obtained. The type of the information or the materials, records, document proposed to be obtained and power refer to the subsection 4 of the Section 55 of the National Security Act 2014 proposed to be obtained. The other issue is the identity of the person, if known, who has possession of the information, material, records, or document proposed to be obtained, the person or the class person to whom the warrant is proposed to be direct. So a judge may issue a warrant under Section 55 of the National Security Act 2014, altering the action of a person or weapon or tool, machine, or gadget or material is specified. And this is very, very important for people also to know the procedures where a person is arrested with warrant. So there's a difference between arrest without warrant and arrest with warrant.
And also, David, on a positive note, there's this also argument out there, and people are seeing on the ground really the fact that the national security appeared to be the most well-organized security organ in South Sudan compared to other security agencies. So how did you manage to reach to that level, and what does it take really to be a professional NSS in the country?
I'm happy that the independent media now pronounce it clear that national security is one of the organized institutions, and that is true. I'm happy that you are the one who said it. Well, some of the attribute this successful management to some kind of trust upon the Minister of the Service and the Director General of Internal Security Bureau by the President, but we are all aware that the fact that an individual assigned to the authority of an organization after critical scrutinize proficiency, qualification criteria, and therefore any post constitutional holder in the country currently, I believe, is attributed with the required qualification manage a given organization. However, given the well-organization and reputable management of the National Security Service has so far achieved over the period of inception in South Sudan, as we have just practically spoken, the National Security Service under the leadership of Mobutu Mamour Mete and deputized by the DGs of the ISB and GIB have widely embarked on exercising their leadership authorities discreetly and precisely under the guidance of the National Security Act 2014 and other laws of the South Sudan. Whenever, for example, the National Security recruitment policies tells a lot about the professionalism and exercise by the service, as is stipulated under Section 33 of the National Security Act 2014. The National Security Service recruit its member under strict recruit criteria condition, which includes one, being a South Sudanese, of course, being at least 18 years, and also being of sound-minded and not having been convicted of any offense involving integrity or moral habit. Having satisfied with this medical fitness and academic requirements, which include possessing a bachelor degree, most of our members are degree holders in the equivalent to South Sudanese certificate or equivalent to other ranks that having regards of the national balance. And also passing security vetting. We have a security vetting that the personnel and the officers are undergoing the process. The national security, of course, recruitment policy is granted on the professionalism and based on the state representation. One, it reflects the diversity of the people of South Sudan. We only don't focus on one tribe, but we go to all the states during the recruitment. Two, based on the quota system of proportional percentage of the state population. So we also focus, like today you will get some tribes that are minority in South Sudan. They are all available in the national security. Also, the policy of deployment is that each member is deployed one opposite or other original. For example, if I hail from Yei, I don't need to be deployed to Yei. I may go to Baral Kazal, and other officers may go to Upper Nile. So we have a clear policy of deployment so that we develop a nationalism. We develop diversity. We know each other, and we know the background of other states that are within the Republic of South Sudan. So this is very clear that we have a policy to develop in our institution, and that led to the success, to the professionalism of the National Security Service. The manner of the recruitment in the service also is extensive, professional, and non-biasly. We don't, there are some, I don't want to mention some of the countries, but we don't favor, we don't use nepotism, that because my brother is in the national security, then I have to recommend someone. No, it has to be based on professionalism. Thank you very much.
Right. And also, after talking about the positive side of the NSS, let us also talk about the negative side. And this was also echoed by the Director General Kolkur himself on August 24th during the visit to Rajaf before the graduation of the necessary unified forces. He talked about some negative elements, not only national security but other security organs as well. And some of them actually have been arrested. for taking bribes from foreigners at Juba International Airport, NSS personnel. So what disciplinary measures are you taking against such negative elements within the NSSS?
Well, the question is categorically falls under the assurance of accountability and the rule of law with the parameters of the National Security Service. As such, I'm very, very much pleased to highlight you on the binding legal frame governing the members of the institution under Section 18, subsection of the 2 of the National Security Act 2014. The Legal Affairs Security Directorate was, of course, established to advise the service on the legal issues, also to act as ombudsman and ensure that cases are handled by the service, are exhibited, and also promptly referred to court. This is the work of the Directorate of Legal Affairs, also to attend the complaints within and without the service advices on the best practices that regarding the Constitution and the human rights. So this is one of the responsibilities. The other issue is also check excess of power, receive and forward complaints of employees within the service to the relevant authorities within the service. And in respect to adherence of the rule of law and accountability of the service, members, the National Security Service for that established 2 service tribunals under Section 77 of the National Security Act 2014 for trial, both summary and non-summary cases. And you witness our court. Most of the cases of indiscipline have been forwarded to service tribunal. And we don't compromise on that. Of course, we don't compromise. And we normally invite the media houses to witness the indiscipline that are happening in the institution. So this is regards to the statement of my Director General Lakolkor. Of course, they have succeeded in maintaining the professionalism just because of the diversity and because of the recruitment policies in the institution.
So do we have, for instance, a statistic of how many people have so far been tried for?
Yes, we have this statistics, but it's not my mandate to give you. I will require that you can also visit the Directorate of Legal Affairs so that they can also give you the statistics.
But the latest case is now the one of yesterday?
The one of yesterday is Colonel and some members of the institution that have been taken to court. Of course, now the law will take its course.
Yeah. How many members? Other members?
We have 5 with the rank of Colonel, the senior one.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people who have been arrested by the NSS, David, when they were released, they complained, and some of them even spoke to us that you torture people when they are under your detention. Do you torture people? What is happening?
This is not true. This is not true. These are enemies of peace. They aim to achieve certain goals. So this is not true. Well, any form of organization structure established for the purpose of fostering security in any sovereign state worldwide has to come under attack, either verbally or in any written manner. No matter the level of professionalism and legality practiced by the actors, the system can be criticized, accused, and requested to reform. If actually there has been an inmate previously arrested, detained, and later released by the National Security Service, and he or she was truly inflicted with injuries, sexual harassment, or other form of torture mechanism, then they will reveal these ordeals with evidences ranging from physical bodily injuries, genitally, and misappropriation, and vice versa. So we welcome that. If there are those with this complaint, they can come to us. But if it is true that...
But if they say it is you who tortured them, how can they come back to you to complain?
Yes, we have...
we want to take other procedures, other legal procedures.
That's why we have a public relations department that is open for all the public to bring their grievances, to bring their complaint. This office is open for them, so they are most welcome. You can bring your complaint against any member that did that.
Right.
But I don't think so. We have a procedures in our detention facilities, and the detention, of course, if you are willing also, you can go and see the detention facility. We have no objection for you to inspect. The detention facility is good.
Right.
Since our responsibility is to protect our people, I don't see the national security will do that, will torture his own people.
Right.
Yeah.
And before you wind up, would you like to share with us some of the challenges? Every institution has its own challenges. So what are some of the common challenges the NSS is facing as we speak?
Like currently, Taban, we in the institution, we said we still need to train our officers on the human rights, and like this small violation by individuals, the members of the institution, we still need training. The other challenge is linking us with the public, which we need you also to help us, so that the public relation can access the public easy, so that we can also share information. We want to make sure that this institution will be admired by its people. And of course, like you, Akila, you can say, I wish if my son grew up, he has to work in this institution. This is the institution that we want to prepare, because at the end of the day, all of us will be integrated into the community. We'll go back to the community. And once we go back to the community, that means we need to share ideas together. We need to develop our country together. So there are several challenges as an institution, but the Minister of National Security Service and Director General are working hard to make sure that our officers, our NCOs are trained to become a professional army.
Right. Thank you very much, David Kumuri.
You're welcome.
This is spokesperson.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Good.